from Dr. SNSS Gandhi Engineering and Technology. He's done his bachelor degree from Lima University. He's done his PhD in ESG and Business Sustainability Management from University of France. I want to request me, sir, to present a token of gratitude to our respected chief guest, Dr. Nitin Dumasia, sir. Now without wasting more time, Nitin sir, please welcome to give your thoughts in front of us.
Institute for inviting us today for today's talk as an expert lecture on ESG. So we are going to talk on ESG today. Okay, how many of you are aware about ESG? Any idea? What is ESG? Yes. So basically it is environmental, social and governance. Okay. So in next 60-70 minutes we are going to listen something on environmental, social and governance. So in this entire world we are all seeing in last few years the temperature of the entire world is increasing. There is a global warming. Okay, the entire globe, Prithvi, the temperature is rising. Okay, and because of that we are seeing very adverse effect on the seasons like monsoon, summer, winter, and we are all feeling discomfort. Okay, and that is what is happening or causing the global warming of this entire Mother Earth or globe. That part is E part of ESG. So today we will see what is basically the concept of ESG. Okay, and how that is helping individuals or organizations or governments across the world to make this world a best place to live for the future generations to come. Right? What has happened in last 30, 40, 50 years, that because we have developed, we have brought so many new technologies, we have carried out many different types of constructions like roads, bridges, industries, buildings, factories. We have brought new technologies, we have invented new products, new services. Okay, so there are vehicles on the roads and pollutions in the vehicle. There is a huge amount of electricity being generated through different types of power plants, thermal power plants, nuclear power plants, these days renewable power plants. All these things has caused something to this entire environment. To develop all these things we had to actually cut trees, we had to develop roads, and we have destroyed the natural part of this Mother Earth and developed our necessities, buildings, roads, constructions and all. So what has happened, the amount of green belt which was there before 30, 40, 50 years on this entire Mother Earth, the amount of water which we used to have, that has reduced, and that has caused a very huge loss of biodiversity, the green part of the entire Mother Earth. Okay, and because that green part has reduced, we are all witnessing huge amount of climate change these days, and the temperature is different now. Okay, the temperature is warm now, so we all feel a little bit of heat. Okay, and so this is environmental part of ESG. Okay, the moment our presentation is starting, we will go with this definition. After that, we also have S part. Okay, S is basically social part of E, S and G. So what has happened when we go to industries? Because after we study here, we all will go to different industry and try to do job. Okay, we will work in industries. So when we go to industries, industry work with materials, industry work with technologies, industry work with employees. Without people, we cannot run factories, we cannot run industries. Okay, so whenever there is an involvement of employee, we also have to take care of their social need of employee. In social need, the number one thing is the salary, because nobody will come to your factory without money. So we always will have to give them the salary. Apart from salary, we will also have to give them some sort of comfort, insurance. We have to take care of their employees, their family members, their insurance, their children, their studies. You know, we also will have to take care of their skill upgradation of your employees. Otherwise, they might not be more productive during the working hours. So we have to provide them training. We have to provide them, if required, residence, okay, accommodation. We have to provide them some sort of way of transportation in case of vehicle or concession or petrol allowance or something like that. All these things are social need of people whom you want to employ in your company. Okay. Apart from only employ, when you operate a company, when you run a factory or company, there are local communities also around your factory or your institute or wherever your setup is there. So local communities are like the people who are living around your company. Okay. So when you run factory, yes, you will also cut down trees and build factories. You will build roads. You will build some technologies. There might be some pollution coming out of your factory. Okay. There will be some So, you have to take care of the local community, the people living around the factory or your office or setup. When you run factory, you also use electricity. When you run factory, you also use water. When you run factory, you also use plastic. You also use paper in the factory or institute or whatever you do. So, you have to take care of that elements and do something which is actually reducing your overall impact, which is going back to the environment, and that is the social part. We will see that in detail. And the third thing, what has happened in last 20-30 years, then there are so many examples and there are so many cases where companies had to shut down, okay, because of environmental issues, pollution control board issues. So company had to shut down. There are so many issues and cases where company had to shut down because of their financial, misinterpretation or fraud or scam, something they have done with their stakeholders, their shareholders. Okay, so that part is governance. So you have to run companies with full transparency. When people are investing in your company, when people are putting their own money in your company, you have to show that you are spending that money with full transparency. If you are not doing so, then it is a matter of governance, okay, that you are doing something dicey within your company which you don't want outside people to see, and someday there will be a big fraud coming out of your company and the company might also get shut down. Are you all with me? Okay.
Yes.
Does this make sense? So that is governance, means you have to be transparent enough to actually carry out all your business processes in the best possible way, with full of transparency, with full of ethical practices, so your company runs with a long time, right? So you are not doing any harm to environment, you are not doing any harm to people or society, that is social, and you are not doing anything wrong which is governance issue, right? Recently in US, last 2 days or last 2-3 days, there's a big news that there is a big bank in US which has got collapsed. What is the name of the bank? What's the name? Silicon Valley Bank. Okay. So what happens when any big institute or bank or any company go bankrupt or go collapse, or there is a scam or fraud in an organization? So Silicon Valley Bank, which has got bankrupted or collapsed, that has a liquidate value of 175 billion US dollar on last Friday, which is collapsed now, and that is now under the custody of the US government. Okay, what happens that people like us who put our deposit, who put our money into those kind of banks, the investors, the startup companies who are lended by these banks. So bank has given loans or lended money to run those startup companies, and someday immediately or suddenly these kind of bank actually go bankrupt or get collapsed. So all the people who are associated, suppose I have deposited 1,000 rupees in that bank, so it's a big question to me that what will happen to my money. So friends, today we will not only talk about environment, because you people are learning too much of environment during your study, but we will also try to make you understand that how exactly these factors of ESG matters for multinational corporations or Indian companies or companies who are being operated from our own city called Surat, right? And I'll try to give some live examples or case studies which will help you people understand that how ESG is actually important for any company to run in the best possible way or ethical way. Okay, so wherever we go, we do this assessment. Okay, so we are basically a global consulting company who are into sustainability solutions. So our company is registered in US, and also we have office in Surat. We do go to companies and actually start our study with the company, and we perform this ESG related assessment for companies. So in our own company we have this framework for ESG. ESG is a very very vast subject, very very deep subject, but if someone want to understand that subject in detail, then there are 3 different elements to ESG, right? Environmental, social and governance. Now let's understand what is environment. We all know that there are many things happening around environment. There are renewable energies coming to picture. Already it is there for last 8, 9, 10 years. Electric vehicles are coming into picture. There are so many climate change companies, climate tech companies coming into picture. People are solving problems for plastics. People are solving problems for e-waste, electronic waste. People are solving problems for paper. Okay, people are bringing more and more biodegradable materials. People are bringing more and more organic materials which is less harmful to the environment. So many things are happening on environmental front for a long time. So what we do when we go to companies, we have this framework in which in environmental part we have 12 different factors. Okay, so suppose if I have to carry out an assessment of ESG, for this institute, our own college, then our team from our consulting company will come here as an expert and start doing this assessment of understanding the environmental part of this institute. So what we will do, we will always start with the climate change part, and we go into the greenhouse gas emissions calculation. I understand you all have the idea about GHG. Okay? You know what is greenhouse gas emissions? Okay, the carbon emissions basically. People also call it as a carbon footprint or carbon emissions because carbon dioxide is one of the most popular greenhouse gas. Actually, there are 6-7 different greenhouse gases: methane, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, okay, nitrous oxide, and so many others. But carbon, because it is most popular, we also often call it as a carbon footprint or carbon emission. So we always start with the greenhouse gas emission. Suppose if we have to calculate the greenhouse gas emission of our college, then we will have to collect so many data in terms of how many vehicles are coming and going, how much of total electricity we are using, how much of total air conditioning we are using, how much of water we are circulating every day. Many things we have to do, and we calculate that. So we understand the greenhouse gas part, and then quickly we go to the energy part. Okay, in terms of energy, we have to see many different forms of energy which institute is using or which an organization is using. So suppose if I have to go to a diamond company in Surat, if I have to go to a pharma company or chemical company in Sachin in Surat or Ankleshwar or Vapi, then I'll go and then ask them to give me last 12 months electricity bills. Okay, and from that we will collect those kWh data and then convert that into a carbon emission or greenhouse gas emission. Or we will also calculate the entire energy intensity of the company or institute. So that way we see energy. Apart from greenhouse gas and energy, we also have many different areas where we ask them how many different types of chemicals we are using, hazardous materials we are using. Suppose in our labs also for experiments and all, we might be using so many different types of chemicals, okay, hazardous instances or materials. So that all data we capture. We also understand the biodiversity part of your land which you are using in your institute or in the company. So how much of the green belt you have developed, okay, how many trees you have planted in your campus, many things. Then we go to water, okay. We also go to different areas like how is your building, okay, is there any emission or a pollution coming out of your building, any sort of water discharge coming out of your factory. Are you all with me?
Yes, sir.
Understanding?
Yes, sir.
So when we understand or capture all these areas for any organizations, we then finally go and calculate a kind of a score of your environmental part. So just for an example, here one company we carried out this study and we are just showing you here the score. Now in our company we have a very deep methodology in which we have this framework. So we have like 12 factors in environment, 12 factors in social and 6 factors in governance. So that makes 30 factors of ESG. Okay. For each of these 30 factors we have 10 different questionnaires. So this is how we calculate the environmental score. Then for social, what we do? We go and check their employment status. How many employees? How do you give salary? How do you cut any deduction and insurance, PF or ESIC or something? Then we also see the working condition. Now social is to also give comfort to your people. Okay. So there should not be like very the place of work in very much of heat area. Like if you go to construction, okay. So the workers working in construction sites, they have to work on heat areas or like open areas or with water or with some chemicals or with noise, something like that. So that is on working conditions. Next is how you are giving them the learning and development opportunity, how you are providing trainings to them. One more important element of social part is the gender equality. Do you understand what is gender equality?
Yes, sir.
So in any company, we also collect data of how many male employees we have, how many female employees we have. And then if you have less female employees, then we recommend them to hire more female employees. That is how we balance their social part through diversity, equality and inclusion. We also have to deal with the privacy and data security part of the information in the employee, in the organization. So we check that how many softwares we have, what is the server, how do you store data and how it is secured, or antivirus systems and all, so many things. Human rights, there is something called as child labor and forced labor. Now let us understand child labor. Child labor is basically any employee which is not less than 18 years. So according to the Companies Act, the law, companies cannot employ people with less age than 18 years. What is forced labor? Forced labor means you cannot force your employee to work for extended hours. You cannot force them to work on holidays. You cannot take their passport. You cannot take their original certificate. If you do, then it is forced labor. So in social element, we also have to see that you as an ethical company or transparent company or a corporate company, you follow all these areas of social element. Then your S part is strong. If you do so, then your employees will stay long with your company and then give you more work and company can really grow. That is all S part. Now let us go to G part, the governance part. In G part we don't have 12 areas because it is something to do with the management of the company. Whereas E and S is more like all levels of the company. Different employees like workers, supervisors, managers and managers. Whereas G is completely for the management, means the owners, means the board of directors, okay, the promoters of the company. So in G we have one called board governance. So if you have a very diverse board of 10 or 12 people, so there are board of directors. So when you go to limited companies, the companies who are listed in India with SEBI, NSE, BSE, with all those companies there is a Companies Act requirement called you have to have board of directors. So there should not only be a chairman or managing director or normal director. You have to have different board of directors. So one board of director is coming from marketing angle, one is coming from the product development angle, R&D angle, something like that. One should be very much aware about the law and advocate related angle, something like that. So when you have a very diverse board of directors in your company, then how you are managing the board governance means how many times all these board of directors are meeting, how many times you are actually doing discussions on various aspects, how the decisions are being taken, okay, how you people are influencing the future of the company, means what technology is required, where investment has to go, how much salary is to be given, how much return to your investors or shareholders is to be given. All those decisions will be discussed in the board meeting, and that governance of board meeting is very much important. This is not much related to small companies, MSME companies or small IT companies, okay, or small institute. This is more to do with big companies, corporate companies, listed companies, where they have to comply all these board governance related aspects. Now apart from board governance, okay, the next part is fair and ethical practices. So you must have heard that example is Silicon Valley Bank. There were some misconduct or unethical lending happened, and because of that the company had to go bankrupt today. There are so many examples. Okay, Kingfisher Airlines, Nirav Modi in India, Satyam Computers, so many scams and frauds which has happened in the history of India. So if you do not have any fair and ethical practice, today Tata Group, Tata Steel, Tata Power, the entire group is very much popular or well known for their fair and ethical practices. It is always in news that they take care of their employees, they take care of the social part, they take care of the environment. That's why the company has grown like anything for last 150 years. So if you have really fair and ethical practice in the organization, then your organization will really work for a long time. It will sustain for a long time. So that is how fair and ethical practices are important. So that goes into the governance area of your entire ESG framework. So this way basically we go to different companies and actually carry out the ESG assessments and give them the score. So our formula or our methodology to derive the score is 600 points for environment, 600 points for social, and 300 points for governance. So that is how we derive the final score of any company of ESG score out of 1500. And then we give them the current score. Like first time when we do this study, the score is like 632 out of 1500. And we also give them where is the areas in which you have actually lost the score or their score is low. And we give them the recommendations. Suppose you are only employing 10% ladies employee or women employee, 90% are male employees. Then we give them the recommendations that in next 2 to 3 years of time you also put some effort to hire more female employee, and then you have to have balanced 50, 60-40 ratio of your male and female. If you do so, then your social score will improve. Your gender equality part will improve. Okay, if you are not calculating your greenhouse gas, so we recommend them, we give them the formula of how to calculate greenhouse gas, the scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions of your carbon footprint. When they start doing that and when they have clarity about their own greenhouse gas, then their environmental score improves. Okay? If they plant more trees, their environmental score improves. If they reduce their fossil fuel consumption through petrol, diesel vehicles, okay? If they start converting their vehicles from fossil fuel based vehicles to electric vehicles, if they encourage their employees to come on bicycle, if they encourage their employees to come in public transport, then their overall footprint of fossil fuel decreases and their environmental part ka score is improving. Okay? So that is how we help organizations to improve their ESG score. Now basically we also have to understand as students that why companies have to actually follow ESG. What if they don't follow ESG? What happens? So if you are not following ESG, then if somebody wants to invest money in your company as an investor, now investor wants to be very much sure that wherever they are putting money, it has to be into good spending. Okay, their amount has to improve, their investment return of investment has to increase, or they should get good return of investment. So investor will always ask these kind of questions that how you are managing ESG part. And throughout the whole world, now ESG has become a kind of a buzzword where everybody before investing are asking, show me your ESG score, otherwise I will not invest. So for your future investor, you have to be ESG score and ESG compliant, number one. Number two, government is also becoming strict now. So far there was a huge amount of pollution, water discharge coming out of factories, pollution, the SOx, NOx, the carbon emission, methane, lot of things were going in the air directly. Okay, the plastic waste, the paper waste, the compost waste, the biodegradable waste, waste for landfill, e-waste, many things were coming. But government was not that much aggressive. Now government is also making policies and making rules that if you are running an organization, then you will have to comply all these things. And government is also coming up with ESG related scoring mechanism, audit related areas. And in future you should not be surprised that our government might bring, likewise our income tax, government might also bring carbon tax in India. Okay? So there are 4 or 5 countries in the whole world today. Let me give you an example of Singapore. Singapore has already brought carbon tax for their citizens. So as an individual, if you are actually emitting carbon through the use of fossil fuel, petrol, diesel vehicles, through the use of conventional electricity, the electricity not generated through renewable energy, like this kind of electricity, okay? If you are using more water, if you are using more paper, more plastic, then at the end of the financial year or calendar year, when we actually calculate our income tax filing, same like that we may have to also calculate our carbon tax ka calculation. Are you all with me?
Yes, sir.
Then if you don't do the sustainable living related practices or don't transform from your current lifestyle to sustainable lifestyle, then you might end up with paying some sort of carbon tax to the government of India. Okay, that is how the bicycle related movement, the public transport, the electric vehicle, so many movements are happening around us. For listed companies in India, recently there is a new legislation and regulation which has brought in action by government of India through SEBI. Do you know what is SEBI? SEBI. Who can tell me the full form of SEBI? What is the full form of SEBI in India? Stock Exchange Board of India. Is it that? True? SEBI. SEBI. Because SEBI is bringing a new regulation, a new law for all the listed companies. SEBI in India is Security Exchange Board of India. Okay, where you can do this stock movement. Okay, purchase and sale of stock. If you want to register your company as a listed company or limited company in India, then you have to go to SEBI. SEBI is a regulatory board. SEBI has brought that top 1,000 companies in India which are ranked as per their market capitalization. So today in India, top 5 companies as per their market cap are like TCS, Reliance, HDFC Bank, okay, Tata Group companies and so on companies, Adani Group of companies. So these top 1,000 list of companies in India will have to mandatorily comply their ESG related scoring and performance. Okay, that is how the government of India is bringing the regulation, bringing the law into the policy of how to manage the ESG part in India. So we have understood that for investor it is important, for government it is important, for your employee also it is important. Now the new generation of employees don't want to go where company is making more pollution. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
The new generation of employees do not want to go where the company is not friendly with the social policies, the employment, the benefits to the companies. New generation of employees do not want to go to companies who are not fair and ethical in terms of their governance, who does not have strong board of directors in the company. So they want to go to a transparent company. Everybody today wants to work with Amazon. Everybody today wants to work with Tesla, with Flipkart, okay, with Uber, okay, so many Zomato, so many good and creative companies. Why? Because all these companies are following ESG related norms. Everybody wants to get placed in companies like Reliance, like L&T, like SR, because they are established companies and they are in the business for so many years. So they have seen everything. They are taking care of environment, they are taking care of social, they are taking care of governance. Okay, so what we have seen is what is ESG? It is environmental social governance. In E there might be, in our company we have 12 factors, but there might be 10 factors, 15 factors, 20 factors. Okay, but it has to be related to E part. In social there might be 10, 15 or 20 factors, but it has to be related to people, it has to be related to communities, it has to be related to society and overall social part. In government there might be 2, 4, 5, 10, 15 points, but it has to be related to the fair and ethical practices of the company, the governance, the transparency, the board of directors, something like that. Let me also show you some case studies, what we are doing. I'm telling you that we go to companies, we do all this coding, we do training, we identify score, we give them recommendation, we give them suggestions. Let me give you or show you some live case studies. Okay, companies who are in Surat, companies who are in US. So through our service, through our team, whatever we are doing with this kind of company. Can anyone tell what is the name of this company? Which one? So this is a company in Surat. This is a company in India. This is not any foreign company. Okay. So they are our client. They have, they are taking our service for sustainability, ESG. This company is called Hari Krishna Exports, HK. They are into diamond manufacturing business. So we all know who is Hari Krishna, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
We all know who is Mr. Saudi.
Norakia.
Okay.
Sir.
So this is this company, and we are doing ESG related work to this company. Now before 3-4 years, this company was not looking like this. The moment we have started ESG related interventions in the company, I want to show you a live and practical case study of our own city, Surat, and a company who was not looking like this and not operating like this has transformed their operations and their entire business into ESG compliant business. And we all know that how fast they are all growing. Okay, just because of their ESG related initiative. What they have done? So they have planted like 25 lakhs or more than that trees. Okay, in Saurashtra area, in Gujarat area, in Bharuch, in Surat, in entire South Gujarat part. So they have planted different types of trees, and those trees are giving them more oxygen than the carbon dioxide, and those trees are giving them good. But in terms of carbon emission, because these trees are absorbing carbon dioxide and giving us oxygen. So when we calculate their overall carbon footprint, the greenhouse gas footprint for the whole company, okay, the amount of greenhouse gases which are going in the air, more than that they are capturing through the trees they have planted so far. Are you all with me?
Yes, sir.
Different types of trees they have planted. They have mango trees, they have neem trees, they have banyan trees, they have pipalka trees. Okay. Let me also tell you that different type of tree has different type of capacity to absorb carbon dioxide. It is not that each tree will absorb same amount of carbon dioxide. So if you have a small tree, small plant that has a smaller capacity, if you have a banyan tree or pipalka tree that has a big capacity to absorb carbon dioxide. Okay. So this type of companies come to us and ask what type of tree we should plant, and our technical team, our domain expert actually give them these kind of consulting services that you should plant these many trees. Now also in trees, let me tell you that the moment you plant tree, the tree will not start capturing carbon dioxide or absorbing carbon dioxide. The amount of days or the life of the trees, okay, after 5 years, after 10 years, the mango tree or the neem tree will have more capacity because the tree is so large. Also let me tell you, you must have also studied in your college that there is a term called carbon sequestration. Are you all aware about carbon sequestration? The carbon sequestration, just go to Google and search. Nowadays ChatGPT is a good option for you all to actually get more information about this kind of thing. Carbon sequestration is a science through which you can calculate the amount of carbon dioxide which is being absorbed through your trees. Okay?
Yes.
So we calculate how much carbon is sequestrated through number of trees you have planted. So this company has more than 25 lakh trees. You can see the solar panels on top of this company. This is a drone view of the company. Can you see the solar panels?
Yes, sir.
So all three units, white color units, are covered with solar panels. There are small 2 units with solar panels, and there is a big parking yard. Okay, this entire rectangle shaped solar panel ka roof is parking slot for the company where they park their vehicles. and they also use for functions and various activities. So these many roofs they have covered with the solar panel. Why? Because they are diamond cutting and polishing factory. They use intensive electricity to cut and polish diamonds. Their motor, their machines, equipment. So whatever amount of electricity they are actually consuming, they are also generating through the use of renewable energy called solar. Okay. So that way they are energy neutral also. So they have more capacity of energy which is generated against the amount of consumption they are doing in their own operations or factory. So that is how they are also energy efficient or energy neutral company also. What they have also done is for water in Saurashtra region they have created more than, the number was 80 but now it is more than 110 lakes, okay, man-made lakes. They have created lakes. When you create lake, that does not only conserve water or store water, but that also help the farmers around or surrounding that area to improve the overall crop quality of that farming. Okay, and that is how they are also contributing the social element, because in ESG we have seen in social that we have to give back something to the local community, the people who are around your companies or around the area. So that has also helped them to become sustainable company. Their operations today are zero plastic and zero paper operations. Means everything all information in the company is actually in the computerized ERP system. There is no plastic use, there is no email printout, there is no policy printout, there is no paper ka printout. Okay, and they are also not using plastics. So they have carried out many trainings to their employees, and our team is also going there, providing them training, and lot many things we have done and made them zero plastic and zero paper company. So when we calculated their overall greenhouse gas emissions ka GHG footprint, the carbon footprint, their footprint was coming somewhere around 14,000 tons of carbon dioxide, which was going in the environment through the use of electricity, through the employees ka vehicle. They have thousands of employees coming in their 4-wheeler, 2-wheeler, going, coming, petrol is using, diesel is used. But against that 34,000 of carbon dioxide which was going, because of the trees, water and renewable energy, more than 2 lakhs of carbon dioxide they are, absorbing. So that is how the company is, carbon neutral company we can say. Now can you relate that how ESG part can actually help operations or companies to become sustainable? Okay. And it is just in last 3 years time. Let's go to the S part. So Hare Krishna was my E related example. Let's go to the S part. Do you know what is the name of the company? I think it's written also somewhere. Anybody has any idea about SRK? Sri Ram Krishna? Govind Bhai Tolokia? Okay. So this is another company who is our client, and this company, the red color company which we are seeing today here, is a green building company. Okay, the building itself is a green building, certified green building company. Okay. Now when you make your company or building a green building, you all, because you are environmental students, so you all know that it helps the environment, by reducing the overall carbon, the water and all these areas. Energy, water, waste, transportation and human experience. So this is the company you will be surprised to know that in the whole world, the total number of green building companies, there are top 10 green building companies in the whole world, top 5, top 3 and the number 1 green building company. You will be surprised to know that SRK ka Katargam unit of company which is certified green building company is the number 1 green building company in the whole world. Okay. Why? Because they have so many things which is taken care for environmental, for social, for their employees. They give free food to their 4,000 plus employees every day. Okay, they have medical insurance cover for their people, which is as part of ESG. Okay, with the help of green building, they have taken care of key part for people, for medical, for salary, for food. They have taken as part, and also companies giving lot of donation, lot of CSR activities, mass wedding, all philanthropic activities, education. They have schools, many things they are doing for governance part and social part. So that is how the company is also, our ex-related example. Now let's go to the G. So we have one company in US called Marathon Company. Okay, the Marathon Company is 100 plus year old company. Why I am showing this company as a G governance related example here? Because the company can only survive, the company can only sustain for more than 100 years if you are good in business, if you are transparent in business, if you are not doing anything wrong to your employees, anything wrong to your investors, customers, if you have good practices, good technologies, if you are taking care of your employee, if you are taking care of your environment. Okay, so this company is 100 plus year old company. The fourth generation, dada ke baad, fourth generation is also involved. Okay, so it is a really sustainable company. Employees more than 3 generation. So मेरे दादा भी यहाँ पे काम करते थे, मेरे पापा भी यहाँ पे काम करते थे. Never they have anything wrong to the employees. That is a good sign of the company. They have done local partnerships. So suppose there is a local government like SMC in their area. So this is a company which is near to Boston in US, and our team goes there, do their training, help them for ESG, now improve their score. Lot many things we do with this kind of international companies also. But what happens if they have a local government body like SMC? So in Boston there is a local municipal corporation. They are also coming here to learn that what kind of policy we can make for the whole city. Are you all with me? That level of governance they have brought into actions and brought into the policies of the company, and because of that the company is actually running with any problem to it. So much of sustainable company. Okay, so we have seen what is ESG. E may there might be factors, S may there might be factors, G may there might be factors. Then we calculate score, we give people score. Why ESG is important? For investors ESG is important. Okay, for government ESG is important. For employees ESG is important. For customers ESG is important. Okay, now let us go to this. What is this? SDGs, right? Sustainable Development Goals. So what is Sustainable Development Goals? Let us understand these also a little bit in depth. So companies, whenever they do E or S or G part, they have some impact or 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 70 goals. So we started with the entire Mother Earth, the globe, the world is becoming witness of this global warming, and the temperature is rising and many things are happening, social disturbances, governance related disturbances. But who will improve this, or who will take the leadership to change what is happening now? Okay, so there has to be one sanstha, one institute, one body or one regulation which can hold the entire world. So it is not a problem only for India, it is not a problem only for UK or Australia, it is a global problem. So we need a global institution who can take leadership and then actually make things in a different way. and also understand what are all the requirements for the whole world as on today. So there is an institute called United Nations. Are you all aware about United Nations? Sanyukta Rashtra, right? In which there are more than 200 countries who come together and become member of United Nations. Now United Nations is working to solve the problems of this whole world. Okay? And the problems of the whole world is not only environment or global warming or climate change related problems. In the whole world there are so many different problems. Okay? So there are different countries like Africa where poverty is a problem. There are countries where people are not getting food. There are countries where there is no monsoon. There are countries where people are not even getting employment. So there are so many thousand problems for the whole world. Now United Nations was working for many different programs and problem solving for so many years in 80s and 90s up to 2000. In 2004 they also after they get tired of solving so many different problems of the whole world, they decided to actually identify few critical areas or problems for the whole world and then made a list of 17 areas. Okay, that the whole world is actually going through those 17 areas only which we have to improve or which we have to change. So these 17 areas are then become sustainable development goals. So United Nations started telling whole world and each country that if you want to improve your country, if you want to do something for the people of your country, if you want to make the world better for the future generations to come, then your country will have to work on those 17 areas. Okay? And for each country, then it becomes very much important for each country to make policies or make regulations according to these 17 goals. So then when they bring that into the governance, okay, the policy framework of the company, then it goes to states, then it goes to cities, and then it reaches to each individual or citizen of that country, and then the whole world might become better. That is how United Nations formed these 17 SDGs in early 2000, 2002, 2004 somewhere, and then they are keep upgrading the standard or asking each country to demonstrate their performance, what exactly you are doing on each SDG. Okay, why we are talking today SDG? Because SDG is important and very much connected with E, S and G. Out of these 17 SDGs, there are 5-6 SDGs which are E part ka, ESG ka E part ka SDGs, like climate change is one, renewable or clean energy is one, water is environment, because that way you can now relate that SDGs are linked with ESG. Okay, so let's understand. Poverty we all understand. Okay, garibi mitao. Then no hunger. Okay, how we can bhukmari ko kaise kam kiya jawe. How we can do things for our city, our companies, our institution, our state, something like that. Good health. We all have seen pandemic, COVID-19 has caused a big disruption for the whole world. So how we can have more, good health and well-being around us, something like that. Education, gender equality we already have discussed. Okay. Then clean sanitation, which is water, the clean water, tap water, industrial water, water discharge, ocean is polluted, ocean ka cleaning, river ka cleaning, lot many things in water. Clean energy, we are all seeing that renewable energy is becoming, very much popular. Electric vehicles are becoming very much popular. Those are all the examples of clean energy. Okay. But apart from that also there are other clean energies like biogas related energy. Okay. Then hydrogen, people are talking now hydrogen. So hydrogen related energy, nuclear energy, many other energy like geothermal energy. Good jobs and economic growth, innovation in infrastructure, reduce inequalities. Reduce inequalities may, it is not gender equality. Reduce inequalities are like respecting the disabled people, okay, and also encouraging them to get employment, encouraging them to get all the better ways of quality of life, respecting few castes which are underprivileged caste or few religions which are not that much privileged. If you go to areas like Middle East, Saudi, then women, few group of people are not treated well. Okay, few areas like Syria, Iraq. There are so many different countries and areas where many things are happening. We are so blessed by living in the city Surat or Gujarat or India. We have many things out of what we are talking today. United Nations has very nicely gathered all the problems and converted those into 17 SDGs. Let us also see smart cities, responsible consumption, protect the planet, life below water, life on land. When you plant tree, you don't just plant a tree. You also make house or nest for the birds to come and live. Okay, so then you are actually creating bigger impact. Okay, by having just a tree, something like that. Life on land, peace and justice, and partnerships for the good. Okay, so this way there are 17 SDGs. So whenever we also go to companies, we carry out during our ESG assessment, we carry out the assessments for the SDGs also. So we go to companies and ask them, in terms of clean energy, what you are doing? Out of your total consumption of energy, how much is the energy coming from renewable source of energy? Then we derive the percentage. If they don't have any, then we force them, we push them, we encourage them to convert or transform their energy sources to renewable energy so they can become sustainable company. We go and check their responsible consumption of materials. So if you are using paper, if you are using plastic, if you are using glass, if you are using water, then how much responsibly they are using those materials or elements, and then what processes or practices you are having in their companies. So many different things we do. So for today's session, okay, what we just wanted to keep it simple, like we wanted to start with ESG, which we started. So now if somebody comes to you and tell you what is ESG, you should be able to tell that ESG is environmental, social, governance. Okay, you should be able to tell the full form of GHG. What is GHG? Greenhouse gases. Okay, you should be able to tell that ESG score or ESG implementation is helpful for investors, government, employees, customers. Okay. Then we had gone to some best practices, some examples, some case studies. So some of the local companies, some of the international companies who are doing good, Hare Krishna, Sri Ram Krishna, Marathon. There are so many companies, there are 100 plus companies we are working today and making their ESG implementation more easy or smoother enough, providing training to them. And then 17 SDGs. Okay. So I think we will end the session here. Okay. And I'm very much hopeful that you all got enough understanding. Now we still have 5-10 minutes.
Then you mentioned the CSR rate as 8%. So CSR means corporate social responsibilities. So will you please explain what is CSR and how it is calculated?
Yeah, very good question. So CSR is corporate social responsibility. Now when you are a corporate company, listed or unlisted in India, there is a regulation, there is a law which says that out of the profit you are making, you have to spend at least 2% of your profit for CSR. Okay? So if there is a company which is having 1000 crore ka turnover, and out of 1000 crore turnover, the profit of the company is 100 crore. So you have to spend for that year 2 crore minimum. If you don't spend 2 crore on CSR, then government will fine you penalty. Now, let's come to where we can spend, where we can do expense for this CSR. CSR, corporate social responsibility, is basically to give donation, to give some charitable activities to give something for the society, to give something for the communities who are living around you, to give something for the people who are needy, basically in terms of financial aspect. So you can spend out of 2 crore, you can spend 20-30 lakhs into educational related area where you can donate, some amount to schools, universities and build something, skill development programs or something. You can even spend your money into tree plantation, which can help the environment to become better. So companies are spending 5, 10, 15, 20 lakhs into tree plantation drive. So on one environment day, when it comes, one environment day, which June? 5th June. So organizations make a big, initiative, and then they spend like, we will plant 10,000 trees on World Environment Day. 10,000 trees will cost them something, right? So suppose it costs 100 rupees per tree, then they will spend 10 lakhs or 1 lakh into that drive on World Environment Day. But that 10 lakh will go from this 2 crore which is coming from CSR, 2% mandate of the government, right? So they can plant trees, they can do education related things, they can do anything out of the 17 SDGs we have shown. Because whenever they will spend these to the society, society will become better. And overall social element of the people around you will improve. So companies like HK, SRK, Marathon, all the companies who are doing good, they have more spending. Now I have shown that they have 8% plus spending. So they don't care. Government is asking to, but they spend even more than government. Are you all with me? That is how they are becoming more popular. They say that whatever profit coming to us, we want to celebrate or we want to distribute to the communities also. Okay, we want to give it back to the communities. So when you give it back, you get more. Are you all with me? Yes. That is CSR. Very, very good question. Any other question? From this side? Girls? We can take one question and we can then conclude. Any question? So, very good question. When we calculate the carbon emission or greenhouse gas emission of any company, exactly how I have shown you, Hare Krishna ka 34,000 plus ton of carbon dioxide which is going in the air for their 1 year of work, right? Now basically it comes from the vehicles of your employees, it comes from the electricity, it comes from the air conditioning you are using, it comes from the different types of chemicals you are using in your factory, and then you will have to have some alternatives of all those things. So now we are asking them to convert their vehicles to electric vehicles. They have already converted their energy to renewable energy. Now they have already made their plastic and paper related operations zero plastic, zero paper. They are working with water. So then you also will have to have some alternatives. And then our team, myself, when we go there, we suggest them. They might not be aware about, they are not expert of ESG, they are expert of diamond. So we as an expert go there. So I also encourage all of you to think about ESG for your future or career perspective. In the future you should think about ESG because this is going to stay for 20, 30, 40 years in the whole world. If you gain more knowledge, okay, if you are able to do these kind of studies and work in companies, the whole world is your market. You can then go to any other countries also and then you work, okay, and then it's a huge opportunity for students like you to make your career in this area of ESG. Any other question? Okay, thank you so much all of you for listening me. We wish you all a very good luck for your future.
Thank you, sir.